So, if you're watching this, it's 2018, and welcome to the new year, and hope it's a happy one for everyone. Recording this in late December and looking back at 2017, one of the interesting trends that has happened in this field, and may be true in other areas of law as well, but certainly in this field, has been the paucity of new cases that have come down from the appellate courts. I don't know the statistics about how many cases appellate courts are receiving through litigation these days and how many they're issuing, but across the board. So maybe they're very busy with all the criminal cases and other civil cases they're doing. But in this field, at least, Court of Appeals judges should be very, very happy they're not being paid piecework. Because the statistics for 2017 reflect that there were, by my count, count them, two published family law cases all year. Coincidentally, by the way, they both came down on October 24th, the same day, quite different cases. And of course, the Court of Appeals timed it for a date that I was going to be traveling. I would have a hard time reading them and doing the review, but fortunately, Kelly from my office took care of that. But that was basically it. And there were 7 months this year, that's 7 out of 12 if you want to do the arithmetic, in which the Court of Appeals did not decide a single new case of family law, either a published or an unpublished case. Some of this certainly is a good thing. In fact, I think the good outweighs the bad in this. And it's a good thing in the sense that it means fewer cases are being appealed, and I'm going to take a wild guess and say that part of the reason fewer cases are being appealed is that fewer cases are being litigated. In the 30 years that I've been doing this area of law, if you're counting at home, I started when I was 4 years old, okay? That God, seems like a long time. It really is a huge, huge transition. I was hired by this firm out of the DA's office to be the firm litigator, and I spent all my time in court. I mean, I was constantly doing first hearings and post-judgment motions and litigating trials, and I never counted, but I'll bet you that I tried 6 to 10 family law cases a year. And when I say cases, pretty much divorce cases in addition to everything else. That's gone down now to probably an average of 1 a year, and there have been some years I haven't had any full family law trials. Why has it changed? I think there are two primary reasons, one of which is a change in the culture away from litigation and more towards resolution. And the second, which is consistent with the first, is mediation's been a huge help in terms of resolving and settling cases. Even if at the end of the mediation, the parties don't join hands and sing kumbaya, or more realistically, have a signed or even verbal mediation agreement, the mediation process tends to move the people off of the extremes where they often start off in settlement and more towards the middle, so that even if it doesn't settle in mediation, frequently it settles later. And when we look back at those cases where that happened, there's a realization that, yeah, it didn't settle at the mediation, but getting to a final settlement really is caused in many cases and assisted to a great deal by the mediation process itself. So I think mediation's a huge help in getting cases resolved along with the change in the culture, and so which is a good thing for clients. Anybody who's practiced law long enough know that litigation entails huge risk and huge costs with no guarantees of results. So reaching some form of a resolution, getting people to make compromises is a really, really good thing. And I think it's good for our clients. I think it's good for society. And most importantly, I think it's good for the children of divorcing parents that compromises were reached and resolution occurred without warfare. Even if it does reduce the number of appellate cases. So the bad part of it, which is, as I said, outweighed by the good part of it, is as lawyers, there's precious little stare decisis precedents for us to rely on. And why is that important? Well, if we can tell a client that the law is A, B, and C, or that courts are going to do A, B, and C. And you can fight about it all you want, and you can argue, and you can litigate, and you can pay me all sorts of money, but here's what's going to happen. Clients, by and large, are going to say, well, if that's what's going to happen anyway, I might as well save the effort, save the money, and just agree to it. So knowing what courts will do is a huge incentive and help for lawyers in getting clients to make the compromises necessary for settlement. I often say that I spend most of my time in family law telling clients things they don't want to hear, but that they should hear. And it helps if you have backup, not just, hey, I heard this or I did this, but there's a case that says this or a case that says that. And it's getting harder and harder to do because when you only have 2 published cases a year, and one of them had to do with whether or not a hmong marriage was valid or not, which isn't a case that, it's not a situation I get every day in this office, for that matter, every decade, but it becomes, there are fewer cases, and it reduces our ability to do that. What it does do is make whatever cases are out there, even unpublished cases, more important. I read all the cases that come down, even the ones that are per curiam and can't be cited. Every once in a while there's a message in there, something that tells me the court's feelings that might be helpful. But certainly every lawyer should have a directory and resource to unpublished but citable cases, which are authored opinions, which can be cited for their persuasive but not precedential value. This leads me to an advertisement. I present, and I've done for a number of years now, case law updates, and we do it 4 times. Do it for the Academy, do it for the Internal Academy, do it for the Academy Seminar at the Pfister, do it for the Family Court Judges at their annual meeting, and at the Family Law Section workshop in Door County every year. And I'm pleased that Attorney Dennis Milbrath and Judge Tom Walsh, who frequently co-speak with me on those. Every year we seem to be asking for less and less time to be available to do that. And again, this year, we're going to need less time than we did last year because there are even fewer cases coming down. Still, the first advertisement on this is the cases still are important, and the seminar will be at the Pfister in March, and the Door County Seminar in August, and we'll present whatever there is to present in terms of family law cases. We probably will have more legislation to discuss this year than cases. But the other thing is this, in terms of back cases, which become really important now because we're not getting a lot of current ones, and these unpublished but citable cases, which are, the legal term is persuasive, but judges really do find them persuasive, because judges, in addition to wanting to do the right thing in a case, also really like being affirmed on appeal. So if they know there's a Court of Appeals case out there that says what a court would do in a certain instance, it really has a significant effect on the judge. We have a directory of cases in this office. It's really quite extensive. It's hundreds, if not thousands, of cases going back about 40 years. At some point this year, we are going to be licensing this for people to download. And we'll provide the information in Flu, and I'll be providing it on my website, and it will be available at a cost. It's a tremendous amount of work that went into this by my office over the years, and our webmaster, Pat McKenna, who put this together for us. So check the Flu every month, and check our website. And we're going to be licensing this to people to be able to access. And I think it's going to help because it not only has all published family law cases over the last 40 years, but all these significant ones that are not published but are citable for their persuasive value, and they'll be clearly marked that they are cases that fall in that category under the rule, and it gives some additional background for lawyers to look at and hopefully to utilize to better represent their clients. Now, if any members of the Court of Appeals are listening to me, this doesn't mean you shouldn't be deciding cases and publishing them. It's more fun to discuss those, so keep doing it. but it would be a nice thing if all family law cases settled and you Court of Appeals judges could just work on the criminal ones that seem to need to go to trial for other reasons. Thank you for listening to this. I hope you find it, these flu messages interesting and helpful. I hope you find our cases when we have them available. I hope you find those to be useful. And once again, I wish that all of the readers of Flu have a healthy and happy 2018.